My best friend of 10 years, who briefly dated me, just confessed to my sister that he's still in love with me and resents my husband. He then came to my wedding, uninvited, and caused a scene. I'm struggling with figuring out how to start this, so I guess I'll just start with context. Obligatory apology, long post. I'll try to keep it semi-brief, but there's a lot. I, 28, female, have been friends with Blake, 28, male, for about 10 years now. We met when I was traveling for a new job out of state, and I kid you not, immediately became best friends in the week that I was there. Same interests, great energy and conversation. We just clicked. We were friends for nearly 2 years before trying the dating thing. It lasted 3 months. Important, during which Blake did not treat me well due to unresolved issues from prior relationships. Before I could end it, he decided to end it himself, as he had feelings for someone else. Fine with me. We were clearly better as friends. I took some space because he hadn't been treating me well. He got into therapy and apologized for being a crappy boyfriend and was willing to put in the work to regain my trust for our friendship, which he did consistently over the 8 years since. Fast forward to now, I'm now happily married to my wonderful husband, Cam, 28, male. Together for 6 years, married for 2 years. Blake and I are still best friends. He and his ex, after our brief dating stint, broke up, and he is now with a wonderful woman, K, 21, female, for almost 2 years now. Started dating a few months before my wedding. This is important. Kay and I are also good friends. She's the sweetest person. Blake also lives in the same city as me now, after his mother passed, having moved down here for a better support network. His girlfriend moved in about 9 months ago. In the past 6 months or so, things have been strained with Blake. My husband is very introverted, and Blake started voicing frustration about his inability to be closer friends with Cam and feeling like he bothers Cam. He and I also started having weird tiffs, kind of subtle belittling comments, etc. Then my husband and I came over to a game night for Blake's birthday 3 months ago, during which Blake picked fights with me about very weird things. For example, my career path and how I'm going about it wrong, making comments like, "I guess if you want to stunt yourself in life, you can do it that way," etc. Both my Cam and I were caught very off guard, and after several attempts to shut it down, made excuses and headed home. Later, Blake proceeded to send me a text asking if I was okay because the vibes felt off, to which I was like, "Oh, no kidding," and explained my issue. He decided to reply with an email. Who uses email anymore? 8 long paragraphs about how he felt he and his experience knowledge was dismissed in our discussion, how he felt ganged up on when Cam would defend my side, and how he felt like he can't be himself around me and Cam anymore. He also made comments voicing that he didn't feel like he could trust me because I tell Kim everything. Not true. I always ask before sharing unless it's a danger or moral issue, and that he thinks I'm unhealthily codependent on Cam, because whenever Blake and I hang out one by one, I'm always calling to let Cam know how late I'll be out or check if I'm cool to pick up takeout. We're married with joint finances. Sue me, I replied, trying to clarify my end, as well as understand where the ever-loving hell this all was coming from. But no matter how many times I tried, we kept going in circles. The emailing back and forth, during which he demanded we not meet up till this was resolved, lasted till about 2 weeks ago, when I said I needed time to think about how to reply next. About a month ago, I got into therapy because it was seriously messing with my head and making me feel like I was a problem and like I couldn't talk to anyone about this because we share much of our support system. I finally broke down to my sister when she came over to see why I hadn't been answering her or really anyone. Yay! Anxiety lately. She is also friends with Blake through me. I let her read the emails and she got pretty ticked on my behalf and then proceeded to drop a hell of a bombshell on me and Cam. Blake is apparently still in love with me and hates Cam's guts. Apparently, when she drove to pick up Blake out of state for our wedding, he was a groomsman. He confided in her and her husband that he didn't agree with the wedding and wished I would break up with Cam and give him another chance. That we're soulmates and Cam isn't the one for me. Blake has heard me talk since day one about how happy Cam makes me and how safe and loved I feel with him. My sister shut it down, but even better, Blake proceeded to do the same thing when she drove him back home after our wedding. He ended off saying he just needed some time, so my sister kept her mouth shut because she knew that he's my best friend and hoped she could trust him to resolve it over time since he lived far away. Blake then moved near me about a year ago, and Kay moved in the August after. My husband's and my wedding anniversary is in October, and apparently Blake called my sister's husband too, again confided that he's still in love with me and wishes I would divorce Cam because he would be a better husband to me while living with Kay, who he's told me is his soulmate. This was about when all the stress started, so she never found a good moment to bring it up. As if to ice the cake, I have been keeping up via text through all this. Again, we're friends. During the past few weeks, I learned some odd things. Kay got new piercings, reportedly encouraged by Blake to do so because she looks so cute. A double nose piercing and septum, which possibly, coincidentally, Blake took me to get as a post-wedding gift 2 years ago. Blake apparently has beef with the month of August, and so has decided their anniversary will be in October. The reason he gave was because it's spooky month, but Cam and I started dating and got married that month. I also, at my sister's prompt, went back and checked when Blake and I broke up. August 2017. Again, possibly coincidental, but feels very odd, as I don't know why else he would have an issue with that month. It's also worth noting Blake had another relationship fall apart because the girl was outright convinced Blake was cheating on her with me, to the point of blasting me for weeks as some homewrecker. Cam and I always chalked it up to her insecurity, but now I'm wondering if she was just watching Blake carry on some weird, one-sided emotional affair. I love my husband more than words can say, and he makes me happier than anyone I've ever met. He's my ultimate best friend. Learning all this has made me feel so gross and like a horrible wife, though Cam has been wonderfully supportive and doesn't blame me at all. All this to say, I'm ending our friendship, but have no clue how I feel like I have to tell Kay, as this has all happened during their relationship and living together, and the woman deserves the world. But I also recognize I have no real proof beyond spoken accounts, besides the weird emails. It sounds like some wild conspiracy theory or soap opera. My therapist is on vacation, so I'm on my own. After learning all this, I'm also realizing just how manipulative Blake has been for years. Given this context, I already feel shaky about confronting him, given my serious confrontation anxiety, which he knows about and could easily try to exploit. I'm realizing more and more that he has massive control issues, that I dismissed his anxiety for years. The fact that he lives so close now fills me with dread rather than joy. I want to come out of this with no regrets, knowing I stood up for myself and that I put a decisive end to this. I want Blake to know his actions and creepy ulterior motives are the reason our decade-long friendship is gone. I've never ended a friendship myself. Also, a bit of an introvert. And this is basically a friend breakup on steroids. How do I break this lunacy to Kay in a way that sounds remotely believable, given the front Blake has built? I also would love some advice on how to go about telling Blake I know everything, and we're absolutely done. Additional info from OP. So I'm working right now and not replying to other comments till later due to time constraints, but thought some clarifications could do well given this comment. 1. There is no intimate past. Blake and I did not sleep together. Again, this was only a 3-month relationship, not everyone hooks up. The most we ever did was kiss a few times upon visiting due to long distance, and again this was 8 years ago. 2. This isn't the only friend I've briefly dated that I'm still in touch with. Hell, Kim actually does have a close friend that he also dated back when he was in college for about 6 months as well. She and I are really close as well, and Cam and I are godparents to her child. Genuinely, both of us are very secure in our relationship and don't take issue with it. We're also both into all genders, so opposite gender doesn't really mean much to us for friendships. It's all just people. 3. My sister and I are in talks over this. I didn't feel it relevant to include in the post, but we'll hear. I let her know how upset I was over her keeping this from me, and she broke down apologizing for it and recognizes she messed up. She also has severe anxiety and thought it had resolved until the second time Blake reached out to her husband, during which time she was going through a lot herself personally. She was intending to tell me next we spoke around the time I fell off communicating from the stress of it all. We're working through this separately. As for your summary, having gotten a restraining order on a different ex, it's not very easy to get one. I will definitely if I have to, but jumping straight to that doesn't seem feasible. The cop scare tactic is definitely not a bad idea to keep in my pocket though. Thank you. As for your frankly polarizing view on myself and my marriage, I didn't come here to ask for advice or opinions on my marriage. My husband has been amazing and very adamant that I know he is mad at Blake for being a creepy lying jerk and not me. He knows full well that I have eyes only for him and never once doubted that before nor after all this. You can think whatever you want of me or my marriage, but I did want to throw that out there. The feeling like a terrible wife I mentioned is because I feel like I've been blind this whole time, especially as I fully acknowledge how cliché this all sounds. Whether that's true or not, I know my marriage is solid and secure, and I in no way spat in anyone's face. Update, April 24th, 2025. Hello everyone. Well, I was definitely not expecting to be making an update follow-up post when I made my original post. Admittedly, my original post blew up far more than I ever anticipated. I've made many posts over the years, including this one, and typically I get a handful of kind-hearted Redditors' input before it pass away into obscurity. Lol, so this was definitely new to me. I'm endlessly thankful for all the wonderful people who offered comments of care, support, and advice. Some of the comments were so invaluable, and I can't thank you all enough. I did decide to delete the original post, largely to protect my peace, as it was surprisingly anxiety-inducing to have 500,000 views on one of the most surreal moments of my life, and partially as protection, as there were many specific details that could easily be identified if seen by someone who knows the details in real life. Now that that's aside, the update. I decided to talk to Kay after all. I asked to meet up and treated her to coffee and pastries, and then disclosed everything I knew. She listened, even reaching over to hold my hand when she saw me shaking, and thanked me for telling her. In short, she has decided to stay with Blake for now but is moving forward with this in mind, as is her right to decide. She wants to stay friends with me and fully understands that I want nothing to do with Blake and why, as well as to not share any info about me with him, and that there will be some distance for a bit. This is where y'all might yell at me. But I did confront Blake in person. This was mostly due to the fact that I wanted to get it out of the way right after talking to Kay without raising alarm bells, and meeting up under the guise of talking it out in person was the easiest way to do that. My husband went with me, though the conversation was just between Blake and myself. I took several safety precautions as well, such as secretly recording the interaction. Initially, Blake started in on classic Darvo, saying he didn't remember saying those things to my sister, etc., and then remembered certain things but in different contexts. He even tried spinning it back on me several times. I shut all that down, as well as any excuses, justifications given, and firmly landed my point that regardless of intent or reasoning, his actions are wildly inappropriate and inexcusable. After dismantling enough of the excuses, he actually offered several apologies, owning up to his actions. Whether he meant them or not, I don't know, nor care, but it was semi-cathartic for sure. He insists everything with Kay is coincidental, but either way, that is between them at this point. The conversation ended with him saying he didn't want to lose our friendship, that he was willing to take a friendship break for a bit, establish better/firmer boundaries, that he feels he's in a better place to be more honest, that now he was aware of the issue and would pay more care in not breaking my boundaries. I shut him down, saying that ship sailed long ago and it shouldn't have to take me saying I'm done for him to put effort into respecting me. He then said he'd respect my decision to end our friendship, but begged me to at least keep an open mind at possible future reconciliation. I was pretty much done at this point and told him flat out that these are the consequences of his own actions, that I can never trust anything he says or does ever again, and that even if in some alternate universe I was open to that, he would be an acquaintance and certainly would never ever be my best or even close friend again. He went quiet after this, I assume because he knew things were coming to a close. I stood up. He asked me for one last hug. I said no, reached out to shake his hand, and left without looking back, which felt kind of badass until I got down the block and round the corner and had the panic attack that had been looming all day. Lol, win some, lose some. Overall though, I think this went as well as it could have. I'm not letting my guard down yet, Juan case, but it's a relief that it's finally seemingly resolved. Admittedly, I'm not doing great, but I know I will be okay. Kem helped me realize I'm basically mourning the passing away of a decade-long friend. While Blake himself may not be passed away, the Blake I knew is, so I'm trying to give myself some grace in processing through this. Cam has decided tonight is reserved for tacos, cake, and video games together for some dopamine, and we're both calling into work tomorrow after this chaos. Thank you again to all those who offered kindness and support on my last post. I don't think I would have had nearly the confidence and composure I had today, if not for you all. May your pillow always be nice and cold, your food the perfect temperature, and your life full of joy and peace. Story 2. Stepson uninvited me from his wedding after his bio mom offered to pay for it, and now he's crying because his siblings are refusing to attend unless I come. For context, I've been married to my husband for just over 20 years. We started dating when my stepkids were 5 and 3. Our kids are Adam, 28, stepkid number 1, Ben, 26, stepkid number 2, Charles, 20, David, 17, and Ellie, 13. Adam is getting married at the end of summer to his fiancée, Alice, 27. We have all been very excited for them. All of the kids have roles for the wedding. Charles is the best man, the other 2 boys are groomsmen, and Ellie is a junior bridesmaid. Last weekend we had a dinner for my husband's birthday. All of the kids attended along with Alice. The topic of the wedding came up again, And this is where it started to go downhill. Ellie brought up that she was so excited to go dress shopping and that we planned to go to a bigger city in a few weeks to get her a dress and me a stepmom of the groom dress at that. Alice looked at Adam sideways and responded that we only needed to worry about one dress, Ellie's. Ellie kind of laughed and said, "What are you expecting, Mom to wear a suit?" Alice responded with, "My name isn't going. You know we are keeping our guest list very limited to only family and a few close friends." Adam and Alice have been to our house numerous times for holidays, dinners, just to say hi since they've been engaged. This has never been brought up. Pretty quickly, things escalated. The Cliff Notes version is that Charles asked them to clarify if they were choosing to uninvite me now or if I was never invited. Alice confirmed the latter. Adam said, "It's because I'm not his mom." Charles, David, and Ellie argued with Adam and Alice that none of them were going to go if I wasn't invited, that it was cruel to leave me out given I've been his parent for a majority of his life and loved him like my own. My husband and I admittedly sat there for a minute just shocked. Adam finally turned to my husband and said, "Well, my husband told him he wouldn't be going either." Adam then turned to me and asked if I was really going to let everyone ruin his wedding on my behalf. Here's where I might be the for. I just laughed. A quit came over me, but the entire thing was just so ridiculous that laughing was the only thing I could get out. I told my husband I'd be waiting in the car and left, and then promptly bawled my eyes out. Anyways, Charles, David, and Ellie are not talking to Adam. Adam called my husband yesterday to try and smooth things over. He was still adamant I'm not invited and it's their wedding. He also requested I apologize for laughing at him. My husband told him tough. It's their wedding, and they can invite whoever they want, but they can't control who will actually go. He said they owe me an apology and that Adam should be ashamed of himself. I'm getting texts now asking what the heck I did and why I'm being a stepmonster and ruining the wedding. I have more info on everyone's relationships. It was hard to include every bit of context in the post because of the character limit, but I quit my job when Charles was 6 months old. Adam would have been 8, almost 9. No affair. I met my husband when he'd been divorced for over a year. Bio mom was engaged to someone else. If you ask their bio mom, she'll say, "I've always overstepped." If you ask her how, she'll give examples like, "I went to school events, so did stepdad. I helped with homework. I spent too much time with them." She would thank me for loving her kids so much, and then turn around and berate my husband for me loving kids that aren't hers too much. Another example is that in the beginning, she wanted to communicate with me directly more, said she loved the communication and that I was easier to deal with than my husband. Next argument with my husband, she brought up that I was weird and too involved, and she shouldn't have to talk to me whatsoever. I haven't talked to her since. Periodically, she has brought up that I was easier to talk to, and she doesn't understand why communication just has to go through my husband. After several years of trying to appease her, we quit to just focus on keeping our family happy and supported. It's been 23 years now of dealing with her. I've been to therapy multiple times to resolve whatever issues she says I have. It did help with strategies to deal with her. Truly, it's just that she has mental issues. Their dad did work a lot. He has always been on nights. It's changed slightly over the years, but we had stepkids Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every other Monday. His days off have always fell over those days, so he can spend the max amount of time with them, but usually he worked 1 to 2 of those nights. Very rarely would he work OT on days we had my stepkids, usually on days we didn't. We still currently try to do dates on days when Ben is not with us. I hope that makes sense and clears up some questions for you. Update, April 23rd, 2025. Hi Reddit friends, I do have an update. Thank you to everyone who responded to my post. Most of you were kind and offered good advice. I appreciate it. Before I give an update, I just want to answer a few frequently asked questions. 1. I am not an affair partner. My husband did not cheat on his ex-wife with me. We met about a year after they divorced. She was already engaged, not to current stepdad. Not that that really matters. 2. Ben was at the dinner. He is autistic. I went into it more in some of my comments, but he was very upset. He doesn't understand what the argument was exactly about, but he was mostly upset at Adam for saying I'm not their parent and then at all the siblings for fighting with each other. Anyways, the update, the short is, if you guessed it was related to Biom, you were correct. I didn't want this to be the case. Adam rescheduled with Charles for Monday, citing Easter weekend. Fair enough. He also texted my husband to let him know that he and Alice would be doing Easter with her parents. We expected that at some point on Sunday, Ellie texted Alice. I'm not sure what exactly was said, but it prompted Alice to spill everything that was going on with her parents. I have met them a few times, but they live a few hours away. They encouraged her and Adam to reach out to us to clear everything up. Monday, we dropped Ben off to Biomes. He stayed an extra night for Easter fun. A few hours later, she began to blow up my husband's phone as Ben mentioned the fight. My husband answered one call in which she was screaming and promptly hung up. He texted her that the siblings argued, everything is fine, and that if Ben has any further questions, we will talk about when he's back with us. From some of the things she texted, we knew she was the root of all of this. Monday, Adam also met up with Charles, and he did come clean. Charles texted us to see if it was okay if they came over after, and we said yes. I'm not gonna lie, Adam looked a mess. He immediately began crying and apologizing. The short and sweet is that he's been trying to mend bridges with Biome. Their wedding isn't 60 people. It's blown up to about double that, and they have been struggling to figure out how to pay for it. At one of their visits, Alice let it slip, and Biomom jumped to help pay for things. It slowly snowballed from there, from small requests to big requests. I am not sure what the final nail in the coffin was, but it ended with Biomom requesting I not be there. Adam said it was easier to hurt me and risk World War II with his mom. Alice's parents were less than pleased to find out how they've been with the wedding budget, and even less so at Biome's antics. They are trying to figure out how to start covering the payments Biomom has made. We've decided to help some with this. Adam also asked if we could meet again in a few days with Alice, and we've said yes. There is still a lot of ground to cover for this to be close to mended. I am still hurt, but mostly I'm angry on behalf of my oldest son.